fury today as JD Vance and Trump unleash hell on the UK and EU. Here's what we know so far then. Let's go straight to this shared screen here and let's get straight into today's stories. So we know that last week this was a big story here. JD Vance forced the UK to drop the demand for backdoor access into iPhones. So this was a big win for the US and Vance. The Home Office actually agreed to withdraw the order seeking to force Apple to break its device encryption. So a big win. That was 8 days ago. I realize that's old news, but we're going to talk about what has actually happened today in a minute. So just for a little bit of context, for those of you who aren't aware of what happened last week. So he actually forced Keir Starmer to drop the demand for backdoor access to iPhone messages, basically. He personally intervened to stop the government from forcing Apple to remove its end-to-end encryption, which protects users' privacy. So this is what they want. They want to get rid of our privacy, especially in the UK and EU, Digital Services Act and the Online Safety Act and all this other stuff. And as we go through, you'll see the propaganda within all of these stories. It's the same wording in all of the media that they're trying to say that the US is trying to get involved and tell us how, free speech works and that we're not doing anything wrong at all. Okay. And they're saying, we're just trying to stop, people who want to harm children and these terrorists. That's all we're doing. We're just trying to stop these people by putting these policies onto everyone and spying on every single person in the UK and EU. Okay, that makes perfect sense. So you've got this tiny slither of people, 0.000000001%, but they have to sort of surveil 100% and read everyone's messages. They need to be able to listen to your phone calls. They need to be able to record your phone calls. They got to be able to look at your WhatsApp and your Telegram and and they actually can't get Signal messages, but they want to get all of these things. I use Signal, by the way, if you're curious. I stopped using WhatsApp a long time ago. Telegram I use occasionally for certain friends. But remember what they did to the CEO of Telegram, where they put him under house arrest in France until he gave them access. And because he wouldn't do it, they went after the next person in his company. And then they went after a senior person in his company, a female who had kids. And they started saying, well, she's going to get under, we're going to put pressure on her and all this. And he's like, okay, this is never going to end. That's France for you within the EU. This is the craziness, ladies and gents, that we are living in. Let's carry on. So Yvette Cooper, don't we love Yvette Cooper? The Home Secretary, she made the request to Apple. It wasn't even a request, it was a demand to Apple earlier in the year, saying it would help combat these things that we just talked about. So Vance took a strong interest in this because he's got background in tech, he's got a concern for privacy, and he is sincerely committed to maintain a strong US-UK relationship. And I genuinely believe he is doing this for us, for the people. So he was personally involved in negotiating the deal, having had these conversations directly with Keir Starmer. That is what actually took place. So there's all these stories now. Everybody's running with these stories, which is why I think that the tide is starting to turn slightly. But let's get on to what happened yesterday then, and it's still continuing today. Trump is considering a ban for EU officials who censor Americans. Now, Vance has actually said he's going to consider a ban for anyone that censors anyone within their country. So they're saying such a move would be unprecedented in order to punish countries for domestic policies the government does not agree with. Actually, I don't quite agree with that statement. It's not a case of they're putting these sanctions, I'm going to call them sanctions because I love that word. The irony, the EU is getting sanctioned. There are sanctions going on to the EU. How ironic. where was I? You see, sometimes I get lost in my own thoughts. I'm going off on a trail. Where was I going with that? The sanctions. Okay. The government, they're saying it's just that the government doesn't agree with it, so they are doing these sanctions. That's not the case at all. It's not just a case of, they just don't agree with the EU, so they're going to put these policies on them. No. What the EU and UK are doing is draconian, tyrannical measures on the people. The fact that they can just read and store anyone's messages, listen to their phone calls, look at their bank accounts, look at all these other things is wrong, first and foremost. Please let me know in the comments below what you think. But I think it's wrong. It's very wrong. And they've got all this AI surveillance now that they've been using all these events. And you notice who they use them on. It's the protesters, the right-wing extremists. But yet you never see these police cameras and the AI cameras pointing at the lefties on there. You know, the Antifa and all these other crazies that turn up and with all the same sign. Remember the documentary, the piece I did, where we went through it all and found out where those signs come from and where the funding. It's all coming from the same place. They're deliberately doing this and trying to rile the protesters, the peaceful protesters. And of course, when these Antifa lot get violent, and I saw this just last weekend watching all these live streams, they get violent on the people who are there, that they are being peaceful, and the media is trying to say they're not being peaceful at all. They've got these England flags, they're waving around, they're shouting. There's nothing wrong with waving an England flag and shouting and cheering, hey, England, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing, this has been going on forever. Football chants and everything else. So they say, they antagonize them with these chants. And that's why the guy in all black with a black mask and black sunglasses decided to start a fight, which then caused a big fight. Who did the police arrest? It's deliberate, ladies and gents. If you look at any of these live streams, not the heavily edited stuff from the BBC and all the other ones, they're deliberately antagonizing people. And you think what happened last year as well. So last year there was the summer of riots, as they called it, after what happened to those beautiful young girls. Terrible, terrible event. Every time I even think about it, it just gets me. But you remember then there was these summer of riots, as they called it. It was actually a summer of protests with a tiny amount of riots. But anyway, that works for their machine. Then this year it's been even worse, and I was thinking to myself today, if I so regret having so much work on my plate this summer, because I would have liked to be filming all of these protests. So next summer, that is, I think it's going to continue next summer. I don't know what you think, but I think it's going to be even worse. The summer is the time for these events to take place. And of course, the Freedom Parade on 13th of September is also taking place. There's going to be a lot of events going on, but you won't see as many in winter when it's freezing cold and rainy. The Brits don't like that at all. So let me pull you back onto the shared screen here. Here we go. So we're talking about this. Trump is considering a travel ban for EU officials responsible for the Digital Services Act and additional tariffs on countries with similar laws. So he's claiming they discriminate against Americans, which they do. If you are an American in the EU, it discriminates against you. The State Department is considering placing sanctions, which may come in the form of visa restrictions on those behind the legislation, as they continue this fight against what they see as an attempt to silence conservative voices. US officials then held a meeting on the issue last week, and they are yet to make a decision on whether to press ahead with the sanctions. Please do it, US. Please put these sanctions on. Get the free speech back. And they also said additional tariffs on the UK and other countries unless they scrap this legislation. They're calling it a discriminatory attack on American tech companies as well. And they're also looking to expose, this is a big one, export restrictions on critical American-made chips and other protected technology. So a lot going on here. Now, the EU legislation, this is what they say, of course, is meant to battle online harms by compelling tech giants to do more to tackle illegal content, including hate speech and abuse material. Well, hold on. They're calling hate speech illegal content, which can carry whatever it is these days, probably a life sentence in prison if at this rate. But if you look at what they have changed in terms of all the wording around hate speech, some of it's not even hate. It's like, you can remember the street pastor recently who was preaching. He was preaching from the Bible, right? He was preaching, and some trans thing, I don't actually know what it was, that came by, was just obviously not quite right. Let's just say that. Just lost their mind, absolutely lost their mind, attacked the preacher, and he was like, okay, well, hey, they then go to the police come, and he's like, yeah, she or whatever he said, just attacked me. And they're like, yeah, well, he did this, he read, and they're like, well, what did you read? And he reads it out again. He reads it, and they're like, I'm arresting you for basically hate speech. And he's like, okay. Now, see, the thing is, I guarantee you, Vance, Trump, Elon Musk, and all the others, they see these videos because they go viral. Some of them don't. I don't know if that one did or not. There was 3 or 4 very similar ones with trans people. And I'm not talking about your normal people. These were like the crazy, crazy ones. So there's a few of these videos going around. So I don't know if you saw this one, but this is the sort of thing that's going on now at the minute. Let's carry on. Washington has said the EU is pursuing undue restrictions on freedom of expression in its efforts to combat hateful speech, misinformation and disinformation. Now, again, misinformation, who decides what is misinformation and disinformation? The EU, I don't know if it's illegal yet to do misinformation, but you think of all the things we've talked about here on the channel. And I say we, me and you in the comments, but so many times talked about things that were accurate. They were factually, statistically accurate, and it was labeled misinformation. I've had the channel suppressed. I've lost count of how many times. Is it 4, 5, 6 times? I've had videos taken down, I don't even know, dozens of times. And again, they say, oh, this missing. Do you remember the BBC thing they did on me years back during COVID? And they said, oh, he's talking about these statistics. It doesn't matter about the statistics. It's how people feel about the statistics. He's a conspiracy theorist for saying 99.9997% in this age group. I still remember the stats that they were giving. And it was like, those are the stats. 99.9997%, whatever it was. That the government statistics, they put that out. Oh, you conspiracy theories, you're spreading misinformation, we're taking your channel down for a week or whatever they did. See, this is the craziness we live in. You can't even talk about statistics. You can't even talk about any of this stuff now in this world. So I, for one, am glad that JD Vance and others are really taking this fight and trying to protect the EU and UK's rights, because it's a slippery slope, ladies and gents. Unless this is reversed very quickly, and listen to me here, this is really crucial. And make sure you subscribe to the channel as well as you listen to this part. When this digital currency launches, this central bank digital currency, when it launches with all of the suppression and what they call the Safety Act and everything else, it's actually a tyrannical act that just surveils you. When this launches with a digital currency at the same time, you mark my words, that is pretty much the end of freedoms as we know it, because everything will be tied to your bank account, which will be a digital currency bank account controlled by the government. You basically, you're going to have to live like we talked about that movie Equilibrium, where you either live in the cities or you live on the outside. And if you're on the outside, you're the rebels. And I know I'm going a bit extreme here with this example, but you can see this actually happening way into the future. if their 2050 plans and all the other stuff actually happens. You could see this. I know it seems sci-fi and a bit out there at the moment, but it's definitely possible. And that's what worries me, is that we've seen draconian things happen in other countries. And, you look at North Korea. North Korea wasn't always the way it is now, by the way. It wasn't. And you look at South Korea, what a juxtaposition with the two countries side by side. Let's go back to a couple of other points I had here then. The Orwellian Online Safety Act. Yes, indeed. Another big one then, Nigel Farage is about to tell Lucy Connolly's story when he testifies to members of Congress. And this is in September, so I don't know exactly when in September. It could be in a few days' time. It could be in a few weeks' time. But he's going to be testifying to Congress regarding Lucy Connolly, which I think is a great thing that they're going to do that. The EU then has defended its sovereign right, interesting wording, it's our sovereign right to regulate the tech platforms against Trump's tariff threat. So this is the commission then. They've defended their right to regulate the big tech. And actually, let me just tell you one thing that the media isn't telling you on all of this. The reason they're doing this regulation is, one, censorship, but the other aspect is profitability. So these fines are huge, and they're going to make enormous sums of money with each one of these fines that they put onto the tech platform, because it's pretty obvious they know the tech platform can't do all the things that they want them to do. There's going to be fines. And this is what the tech platforms are upset about and what they've spoken to Trump about. So this is really where it's going with it. They want to make money from this as well. The European Commission said they were caught off guard by the extraordinary warning issued by the White House. And they said that they are free from external pressure. So what did Trump actually say? American tech companies are neither the piggy bank, there we go, nor the doormat of the world any longer. Show respect to America and our amazing tech companies, or consider the consequences. So a very, very strong threat. And then sanctions. In the face of pressure, Brussels says it did not budge. Nonsense. Of course they budged. Do you remember the fighting talk from Ursula? It was ridiculous. She was so angry and saying she's going to take the fight to Trump. Just wait till she gets together with the other leaders, Mark Carney, Keir Starmer, wet blanket, Keir Starmer, Germany, Macron. Oh gosh, yeah, all these embarrassing people, right? Just wait till we all get together. Oh yeah, because all these weak leaders against one strong leader. It doesn't matter if you've got 50 weak leaders in a room against one strong leader. You're only as strong as the strongest in that, and you're as weak as the weakest link. It doesn't make any difference. What else have they said then? Oh yeah, von der Leyen came out with her fighting talk. We're the ones who decide how to safeguard food safety. What on earth this has got to do with anything, I'm not sure. Protect European citizens online and ensure their health and safety. Health, really? Their health. Okay. But Poland, though, is saying it's pressing ahead. Boo! Poland presses ahead with the 3% digital tax. You know what? I think most of you know I love Poland. I absolutely love the Polish people. I think they're some of the best people. So for their government to press on with a 3% tax is foolish. Another big one. Musk is promising to fund these legal cases against officials who failed over the rooming gangs. You can't use this word. You're not allowed to say it on YouTube, apparently. Tech billionaire is going to intervene after, did you know it's 85 councils now? They have to use the word alleged. So I'll have to use it as well. Allegedly. 85 councils, allegedly. He's going to be funding all of the cover-up cases now, or the cases against the cover-ups. He said he's going to, I can't actually say this, the grape of Britain, the grapes of Britain. It came as an unofficial, they had to highlight this word, unofficial inquiry into the gangs led by the former Reform UK MP Rupert Lowe, claimed all of this happened in 85 councils. Now, you know what made me laugh about this, and I don't mean laugh, haha, funny, I mean crazy ironic, was number one, they called it unofficial. Number two, they say South Asian men. Well, it's not South Asian men. Is it what Thai men? Is it what Cambodians? Is it Laos, Myanmar, or some of these? No, I don't think so. I haven't heard of any of these. It's not any of those. But this was what was so crazy. They actually allowed. Are you ready for this? Are you ready? They allowed the councils to investigate themselves. I'm not making this up. They allowed the councils to investigate themselves to see if what they did was right. Can you believe this? letting the guards, guard the guards, as they say. Now, I put out a post this week. Some of you won't have seen it, but I put out a post saying that I'm going to be starting my UK city tours shortly, and I'm probably going to need a bodyguard for this. And people said, a bodyguard? Why would you need a bodyguard? And all this sort of stuff. Well, the reason why is because if you think over the last few years, how many times I've been attacked, attempted to be mugged or robbed, whatever you want to say, whether it's two guys thinking they're tough or the guys on the what are those, they're like e-bikes that try to grab my phone or grab my camera and everything else. You think how many times this has happened now? How many times I've been, let's just say, almost in very deep trouble, shall we say, or verbally abused and all sorts of other stuff. That is why, because some of the places I'm going to be going to are pretty dangerous areas. If you want to really see the truth of what's happening, you've got to get in amongst the thick of it. So I appreciate people saying, Neil, just don't go to those areas, just go to the good areas. Well, that's not what I do. I don't just go to the good areas and say, because that's what a lot of influencers do. You've seen them all. They go to these areas. Wow, look how beautiful everything is. Look at this city. Wow, it's so beautiful. Everything's so clean. It's not the truth. That's like, if this is a city, that's like this little slither where the tourists go and everything looks good. But you go to the rest of the city, especially the UK cities, they are absolute dumps. Some of you, most of you watching will be, probably UK viewers on this. Yourself. I know some people get offended, but that's more of a psychological identity issue. People associate pride with where they live, where they grow up, even if it's not factual. Some of the cities now are a complete mess. We know who they are. They are just horrendous. So that's what I'm going to be covering. That's why I said, people have been saying, oh, get that Fred guy, Charles somebody, get his bodyguard and whatever else. Yeah, possibly. Someone sent me a video. I don't know if I want to be drawing a lot of heat, but we'll see. Maybe Fred's the guy. Someone can send him the video. He can reach out. We'll have a chat. But yeah, you look at it. It says city centres now. Locals are scared to visit these city centres. You know what just happened in Germany as well? A New York model left with very bad wounds to the face after he saved some women from being harassed on a German tram. See, this is the thing. If you step in now, because it always says the same thing. Here we go. This is where the people were from. The police, they say, oh, we arrested the guy. Oh, there wasn't enough evidence. There's never enough evidence, ironically enough. So they arrest the people, and there's never enough evidence. You got to be careful, guys. Okay, last one. Before we go, Cracker Barrel ditches the redesign and return to the original logo. I am so glad they've done that. And look at their stock today. It is, where was it? Look at this. It was down to 50 and it's all the way up to 62 now. That, ladies and gents, is what happens. You go woke, you go broke, but if you reverse it, you actually end up better and with a higher stock than when you first started. So there we go. Thank you so much for being a subscriber here. I really appreciate you. Truly. Take care. God bless you. God bless your families. And I'll see you on the next one.